I need all my black men. I need all my Hispanic people. I need all my women who voted for Trump to the front of the class. Please, I need you to the front of the class because I got a question for you. Everybody huddle around. Everybody huddle around. How does it feel? How does it feel? I know you feel like somebody done just shoved they ick up your petunia with no baseline. I know that's what it feel like. I just know it. I just know it. I'm still trying to figure out how the Hispanics could vote for him if he said he gonna deport your family. I'm trying to figure out why black men would vote for him if he is being backed by the KKK. Won't they hang you? And then the women that voted for him, he trying to control your chocha. He trying to tell you what to do with your figgy pudding. What is wrong with y'all?
What's up, beautiful people? Happy weekend to you. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by and supporting your girl every time. So in today's video,
here's a fact that's bringing me so much joy right now. So my father's Cuban, my mom's Mexican. Her mom came to this country not necessarily legally. She voted, though, for Donald Trump. A lot of my extended family on my mom's side voted for Donald Trump. So here's the deal. If I'm getting deported, guess what? You're coming with me. It's what you wanted. We're going to drain the swamp together. We're going to give you exactly what you voted for. When the ICE officials come for me, guess who's getting ratted out? Congratulations, and I can't wait for the family reunion in Tijuana. Mi gente, mwah, love your faces. See you in hell.
I'm sorry, but did you guys actually think that a working family was going to put your sexuality over their grocery prices? Did the Democrats actually think that putting people's identity as the front runner of their campaign, did they really think that just everyday Americans who are going to work, they're not chronically online like all of us, did you actually think they were going to say, you know what, I'm going to go to the ballot box and vote for the gay man in LA who's scared that he's not going to be able to run around and get fisted on the sidewalk? You actually thought they were going to do that? Being overly worried about social issues is a privilege. It's a privilege. If your vote is entirely based on social culture war issues, you are a privileged person. Because the person who can't afford to eat is not giving a flying about whether or not your kid can be put on puberty blockers. Now, I am a classical liberal, okay? I lean right now because everything shifted so much, but I'm a classical liberal. All I would want is for the Democratic Party to come back to reality, to stop being so elitist and hating on half the country because, oh, they're not college educated, therefore their struggles don't matter, and therefore they can't ever have a good idea. I'm automatically smarter than them, which means everything I say is true, so I shouldn't listen to them. Anything they say is wrong because they're not college educated. Until liberals get off of their moral high horse and stop using politics to stroke their moral superiority complex, they will continue to lose elections. Now, if the Democratic Party were to come back from that, hi, I'm a voter in the middle. Yeah, you don't listen to me because you claim that I'm far right. I would vote for you if you guys were to actually listen. It really is that simple.
Right. What's the difference between hypocrisy and fascism? Nothing. Fascism is a political philosophy lacking actual philosophy and just resting in might is right and the unequal applications of laws and standards. One very easy way to understand how fascism works functionally within a society is that the laws bind but do not protect the outgroup, and they protect but do not bind the in-group. That's what we've had in this country since forever. When you look at American racism and structural racism, we should see no distinction between that and classical fascism, especially when you kind of factor in the mythology that we call history that kind of whitewashes all of it, that doesn't talk about the breeding plantations, that doesn't properly recognize lynching as ritualistic killings designed to reinforce this double standard, where white people can ritualistically kill black people, disfigure them, dismember them, sell parts of their bodies as trinkets and face no legal consequences. And then, black children can't even allegedly whistle at a white woman without dying, right? And so I think we have to stop seeing this as hypocrisy and start seeing this as part of the American way. That we have been living in a society that applies laws and standards unequally since the beginning of our country. And that this idea that we're an exercise in freedom and equality and democracy and all of this bullshit, we're a colony that was an exercise in economic exploitation and unequal applications of laws and standards. And so, I'm constantly saying, people are wondering where all this fascism came in the American mind or the American culture or the American whatever. And so I would argue that racism has always been fascism, that liberals and people on the left have decided they don't want their white privilege anymore. And I think they believed that in getting rid of their white privilege, they would be erasing white privilege from the culture. That was a mistake. And so just consider white privilege as like an umbrella covering white people. And so, liberals have been talking about equality and doing away with white privilege so much that the other group of white people that wants the privilege, that wants the benefits, have just moved their umbrella over to this way. And that the fascism raining down on our heads has always been here. We just have been protected by it. And so I guess to me, in a certain way, like Trumpism is just kind of unmasking the progress America hasn't made, right? The window dressing we've given to all of these high-minded principles that mask the reality of what America has always been, which is authoritarian and fascist.
Question from our red state folks. Who do you think's going to buy your cotton, soybeans, and pigs after Trump starts trade wars with China, Canada, and Mexico? Cotton and soybeans are some of our biggest exports to China, and all they have to do is raise their own tariffs on these products in order to cripple these industries in the United States. China did this with soybeans back in 2018 when Trump tried this stuff the first time, but some of y'all got short memories. What, did you think the United States was the only ones who could raise tariffs? All 10 out of the top 10 cotton-producing states and 8 out of the top 10 soybean-producing states all voted for Trump this election. Now, I don't wish hurt and hardship on anybody, but y'all voted it on yourselves this election, just like trees voting for the axe. China owns 1/4 of all the pig farms in the United States, and 8 out of 10 of the top pork-producing states also voted for Trump. China, Canada, and Mexico together buy over half of all the pork that's exported from the United States. Who's Trump starting those trade wars with again? And before you go saying China, Canada, and Mexico need U.S. cotton, soybeans, and pigs, Brazil and India are more than happy to pick up our slack and bring that money into their economies. Trump's got y'all convinced that he's calling all the shots and there won't be any consequences. But you're missing one very important fact. He's rich, and you're not. The benefits are all for him. The consequences are all for you.
So I'm in Walgreens, and there's this guy in front of me who's all decked out in his MAGA gear. The one with the daddy's home, with the fist in the air. Anyway, he's there with his MAGA hat on and his Trump shirt, and he's getting his prescriptions. So the lady behind the counter that's helping him lets him know, "Sir, I've noticed that you have TRICARE as your insurance, and I'm just letting you know you should be getting a letter in the mail that we are no longer going to be contracted through them at the end of this month." He said, "What do you mean?" We got Selfridge right down the road. What do you mean you ain't going to be contracted through no veterans insurance? And she said, "Sir, there are a whole lot of administrative changes that are going to be going on, and Walgreens, the company, is unsure of what contracts through the VA, what contracts for the military are going to be revised or pulled." She says, "Now, I'm sure there are other pharmacies such as CVS or mail-in pharmacies such as Express Scripts that will still honor your insurance. But as far as Walgreens, we will not." And boy, did this man get so mad. He didn't understand what was going on. So she broke down to him what was happening. She's like, he's talking about getting rid of VA hospitals. He's getting rid of possibly disability for veterans, or putting a 10-year max cap on that, and it's going to be an extremely hard process to even be approved for that. So this guy, he's just like staring at her, and he goes, "Well, shit, I don't know what I'm going to do." He said, "The only thing that I live off of right now is my VA and my Social Security." And she just kind of looked at him, and I looked at him, and I said, "They're going to be taking your Social Security too." And I looked down at his shirt, and I looked back up at him. I said, from one veteran to another, Daddy doesn't give a fuck if you have your medicine or not. He really doesn't. He doesn't care that you served. He deferred his freaking draft 4 times because his feet hurt. I mean, what do you expect from the guy? Well, Republicans are supposed to be all about their military. I said, this is not about Republicans and Democrats, sir. There's Republicans, there's Democrats, and then there's MAGA. And I said, and unfortunately, you're all a part of the MAGA. I said, hey, you voted for him. You fucked around and now you're gonna find out. And I kind of feel bad because his face was just so like this was the first time he ever heard this. This was the first time he was ever hearing that as a veteran, his benefits, his security is being threatened. That his social security is being threatened. Like, where the fuck are these people staying? Where are they at? Like, living under a rock? I don't get it. But anyway, that's my story.
You know, at the end of the day, with all of MAGA figuratively shoving our nose in our own shit like we're dogs in order to feel superior about Trump winning the election, I actually pity this man that she's talking about. And here's the thing. We have no idea what's going to happen. And I'm a veteran. My parents are veterans. I'm a military brat through and through. And now veterans' options are going to be severely limited, as if vets don't have hard enough time already. There's a lot of consequence that comes from the results of elections and the words that comes out of politicians' mouths during these elections. It kind of reminds me of this debate I was having with somebody recently who was saying, don't worry about mass deportations. That's not going to happen. He doesn't have the power to do that. It was just a ploy. It was a talking point or whatever. Well, that remains to be seen. And beyond that, he appears to be doubling down. It's going to have massive implications for our economy. And even if that never happened, which it's looking like it is, just the fact that it has been used as a part of his political strategy is going to have, and has had, demonstrable consequences in our communities. The same way that his Project 2025 initiative that he pretended to not know anything about, and everyone looked the other way, is going to have massive implications. If I've said it once, I've said it twice, and I've said it thrice. Having zero scope of what your iconic billionaire leader is proposing in his policies simply because he loathes the same groups of people that you do is the ultimate fuck around and find out karma that you are about to receive.
There's a very common theme in my DMs right now, specifically from white women who voted for Trump, who feel attacked by me saying that yesterday's results of the election remind me that people don't care about my children or children in general. And they feel attacked or triggered by this because they want to remind me that they do care about my children. They do care about all children. That's why they voted for Trump. And when I come to them and I say, well, Trump's policies are going to cause direct harm to my children and millions of other children in our country. They will cause direct harm. And I explain how and why. And I remind them that I have 3 daughters, 2 children of color, 3 children with special education IEPs or 504s. They will have direct harm from his policies. And I say, you tell me that you voted for Trump because you care about my children and your children. Tell me why. What policies do you think will benefit my children and your children? What policies did you vote for? When you voted, did you think about marginalized people? Did you think about women? Did you think about people of color? Did you think about kids with special needs or pre-existing conditions? Did you think about that? The response is crickets. They just avoid it or don't respond.
Well, I really don't know what to tell y'all. I mean, the most hilarious of these videos for me was the guy that said he can't wait for the family reunion in Tijuana. I mean, that was really hilarious. Because tell me why you didn't do your due diligence and research. Okay? Tell me why it is now that you feel that you don't understand Trump's policy. Tell me why it is now that you are seeing the impact that it can be, or that it can be on healthcare, education, and even the economy. Tell me why you are seeing now that his campaign policies, his campaign promises. Tell me why you are feeling betrayed now, especially about grocery prices and job opportunities. Or tell me why you are also feeling, surprised after he brought out his cabinet choices. You are feeling that they don't align with your values or your interests. You are just finding that out, right? I mean, it's very important in whatever situation you find yourself. the importance of critical thinking and media literacy. I mean, the internet is free, right? Google is there for you. I mean, in today's political landscape, critical thinking is very important. And media literacy, just go on the internet and do some research. Go on the internet and find out the matter for yourself. It will do you some good. Instead of coming online, I mean, it's the audacity for me. Instead of coming online, carrying your camera, your tripod stand, and your ring lights, and crying and whimpering, and you're expecting people to feel sorry for you. I'm sorry. Even though all your crying, on a normal day, it might be emotional, but the motive behind your crying is not going to attract anybody, because you were the same people before the election. You were running your mouth up and down. Oh, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, this, that. Even going as far as voting against your own self-interest. I mean, who does that? Who goes to vote against them staying in the country where they have been practically all their life? And you know deep down inside you that you are undocumented. You don't have the legal means of staying in the United States. And this man says, the first thing I'm going to do when I'm in office is to deport illegal undocumented immigrants. And you're like, oh yeah, it's not going to happen. We are still going to vote for you. Go, go, go. We root for you. And now that y'all are going to have your family reunion in Tijuana, you are sad about it. Oh, I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can tell you. Guys, do you have a contrary opinion? Do you think all this crying and whimpering should not have been in the first place if they had searched out their matter? Let me know what you think in the comment section. I can't wait to hear from you. Thank you for engaging, sharing, subscribing, and liking. I'll see you in my next video. And please don't forget to stay safe. Ciao.